There are very few people who know exactly what they want to do with their lives and how to get there, and these people can now click away because this video is completely unnecessary for you. Oh wait, I need to say first that I envy you and good luck. I wish you to achieve everything you're hoping to. And now to the rest of us mortals. Just out of school, or even worse, still in it, and you have to start your applications for uni. As if school and friends and everything wasn't stressful enough, you have to make the most important decision of your life, on top of everything. And everyone who has already had the pleasure of applying and going to uni knows exactly what I'm talking about. So don't you worry, you'll get through it as well. We're all gonna be something someday when we grow up, and here's how to figure out what. Mainly because it is not the most important decision of your life. Welcome everyone to another Little Scientist segment. I'm Margarita and I'm going to talk about uni because that's what I have experienced. But I believe that the following 3 tips or points to consider when deciding what to do in your life apply in general to whatever path you're trying to take, whether it is school, jobs, internships, or churches. Wait, now there are a few that will probably not be okay with you just deciding otherwise, so maybe let's put a pin in that. But in general, it applies to almost anything you want to do. Okay, stop rambling now. 3 tips on how to make this very important but not most important decision of what subject to choose to study. Number 1. Decide because you are interested in the topic, not because it's gonna get you a lot of money. Start thinking, what were you good at school? What did you like? For me, it was getting on teachers' nerves by inventing new rules for math and battling them on racism. You see, I was half German in a Greek school, and half of history lesson was about how bad Germans are because, you know, world wars and such. So everybody would be eyeing me weirdly as if I would be reminded of my heritage and my magical ability to just make soap out of them or something. But also biology. It was my favorite subject, so much so that even though I hardly did anything more than absolutely necessary for the rest of the subjects because I just wasn't interested, I would take my biology books with me to bed for a little light reading before sleep. Such a Ravenclaw thing to do, right? What is your Harry Potter house, by the way? This might actually help you find out in which direction you can go in your life job-wise. So what was your favorite subject? And what could you do with it in real life? Would you enjoy it enough to keep yourself busy with some aspect of it for years? But keep in mind that not everything you can do in your life you have a subject on in school. There are also many jobs that you can't even imagine as a kid or as an adult looking into the job market for something very specific even. So also look into your hobbies. What do you like to do in your leisure time? Some sport, playing an instrument, painting, writing stories? Now, keep in mind that these are usually very artsy and hard to succeed in jobs, but who are the others to tell you you can't try it anyways? And who would have a useful hobby like, I don't know, accounting or something? And also, there are jobs that are non-artsy but still in these artsy fields. Like, for example, you can work in a gallery or be a manager of some athlete or musician. You just need to think outside the box. Also, ask your family and friends what they would see you as, because they might give you a good idea. My mom, for example, thought at some point that I could be doing some kind of journalism. Now you are watching a science communication YouTube channel, which you should totally subscribe to because it is cool to be subscribed. Asking other people to tell you what they think would suit you might give you a nudge in a direction, especially if all of them are saying the same thing. For example, if they say that you should do something with kids because you are so great with them, you can get more specific from there. You could think whether you would like to be a teacher or a doctor, a psychiatrist, a nanny, a social worker, or a tutor, for example. Okay, now let's say you decided what approximately you want to do. Approach it the other way around. What uni would you like to go to? Where is it? What subjects do they offer? Scroll through all the subjects and open every one that seems mildly interesting in a separate window. And as soon as you're done with that, close the first window and go over and play Who'd You Rather until you decide on one or two which you're going to apply to. Keep in mind the reason why you chose this specific uni. Do you want to go there because you have friends there, or because it's near to, or even in your hometown? All these are okay reasons to go there, but please do not make a decision based solely on that, because you're gonna regret not doing something you really enjoy and then subconsciously blame your family or friends for that and mess up your relationships in the long run. I promise you will find wonderful people wherever you go, and it will make a good impression on your CV as well later on if you have been independent enough to move away after school and go live in a new city or even country. It's gonna be weird in the beginning, but you're gonna get used to it. Also consider that this is probably the first time you have to live and cook and clean and make new friends and be alone and stuff like that. Give yourself time. You will grow into it and you will love it in the end, because no matter how great your parents are, you don't want to live with them forever. Believe me, after a semester, you're not gonna be able to imagine living at home anymore. Number 2, you can change your mind. There is nothing wrong with that. Stopping in the middle of a semester or realizing it's not what you really want to do is okay, but keep in mind that whatever you want to do is gonna have, or at least on an undergrad level, things you don't like. I really wanted to do bio and I started it, and then the 2 first semesters turned out to basically be just chemistry, a bit of math and physics, and more chemistry. And even the biological subjects we had were not all my favorites. I had to learn far more about plants than I really wanted to. It's just like in school, you're gonna have to do stuff you don't absolutely love all the time. So don't forget why you started it and weigh it out whether it's worth the few lectures you find rather dull or even infuriatingly boring. If you then decide to indeed change your major, then have a plan B. Parents really appreciate plan Bs, but mostly I'm saying that because that way you'll know that you are not just giving up, but that you learn from your experience what it is you really want to do even more. It's like tossing a coin to make a decision and then realizing that you hoped for the other side to be up because subconsciously you already knew what you wanted more. Most importantly, especially for people who have a hard time quitting something even if it makes them unhappy, or for people who just have gone too far to stop without just finishing it, point number 3. It's not definite. Just because you are studying something, it is not the end of your freedom in terms of what jobs you're going to be able to apply to later. Each step I took, and each step I am still taking now, feels like it's the most important step of my life because it's going to define the rest of my life. But that's not the case. So many people are working in fields they did not study, and even if you have a PhD in a very specific research topic, and believe me, to have gotten a PhD in it, you are, or at least you were for a very long time, really interested and invested in it, you can still pivot yourself and your job situation. You just have to know what you want to do instead, and you're gonna find a way to do it. I know the feeling of not being sure your decision is the right one, and the subject you chose is not gonna be what you want to do for the rest of your life. But let's be real, even if it feels like it now, it might change. You might grow apart, and even if you don't, you might have to adjust for other reasons. The most important of all is don't stress about not being sure what you want to do right after school. You just probably had a pretty stressful year studying for finals to have all the options open, but then what option are you working towards? Well, very few people know that. You are not alone, I promise. And if you still don't know, for real, go make a Hogwarts house test and let it guide you, okay? Fine, you could also make some more specific assessment tests you can find everywhere online, and your guidance counselor at school will have a few to suggest, but that's mainstream.